And for the latest on the hostage releases and the possibility of an extension of the temporary ceasefire, let's bring in Israeli government spokesman Eylon Levy. Eylon, thank you so much for being with us. I want to get straight to this new reporting about this delay in the releases. Hamas is giving sort of conflicting reasons, according to two different reports, on why this is happening. Reuters is reporting that Hamas is delaying until Israel will commit to allowing aid trucks into northern Gaza. Then you've got Axios saying that Hamas is claiming that Israel violated its terms in imposing some restrictions or, I guess, conditions on who is released from the Palestinian prisoners. Can you just tell us what is the cause of this delay?
We're not going to comment on sensitive issues relating to the hostages until they are safely back on Israeli soil. Human lives hang in the balance, and this is, of course, a very perilous moment. But it's important to be clear. Every moment that Hamas has kept onto those hostages since October 7th, every moment it holds them in the dark and their families in the dark is an ongoing crime against humanity. Hamas could release those hostages now. Hamas could have released them yesterday. Hamas could have released them on October 7th, and it never had to abduct children from their beds in the first place. And we're demanding that Hamas continue to return the hostages, and we're insistent that we will continue putting military pressure on Hamas to release the rest of the hostages after the completion of the first stage of the agreement that we hope will be seen through, because it is only military pressure that is going to bring Hamas to bear and force it to bring back the hostages. It hasn't suddenly decided to be nice. In fact, it's showing that it is continuing to psychologically terrorize the people of Israel every minute it holds on to our children and those hostages.
I hear you on that point, but, sir, for folks who are expecting their loved ones to come home today and then they hear about this delay, should there be any concern that this agreement is coming off the rails?
We are insisting that this go through. We are demanding that, and we hope to see those people back. Again, this is a sensitive, evolving situation, and I can't comment on anything that may jeopardize the state of those hostages. But of course, the torment for the families, 50 days now that their loved ones, their children, their wives, their grandmothers have been kept in Hamas captivity, has been absolutely torturing for them. And we're demanding that those people be returned. And we hope that Hamas will honor its side of the agreement as well. We know this is an organization that is completely ruthless and inhumane, and we saw the atrocities it perpetrated on October 7th and has continued to perpetrate since then. So we're not expecting it to keep its word out of a sense of honor, but we are demanding that it comply with that agreement, and we'll continue putting military pressure until we get all of our hostages back. Not just 10, not just 20, all of them back.
Just to clarify, when you talk about continuing military pressure, are you suggesting that this pause in fighting may be lifted, that the fighting could resume unless Hamas follows through on its commitment to allow these hostages out?
The fighting will resume eventually. The question is when. The agreement at the moment is for a 4-day hostage release pause in exchange for the first 50 hostages, women and children. We're hopeful that can be extended by an additional day for every 10 hostages Hamas releases, but it takes two to tango, and Hamas has to honor the terms of that agreement. It must release those women and children. We will accept nothing less.
Or else the pause will be unpaused?
Or else, let's see what happens now, and let's hope that we get those women and children back tonight.
Why is it that you think Americans are not among the first to be released? Is Hamas trying to use Americans as an additional point of leverage to try to maneuver Biden to pressure Israel in some way?
You know, I wish I could comment on what Hamas is thinking, but it's impossible to get in the minds of the sick monsters who would abduct a 10-month-old baby and hold it hostage, hold it for a ransom. The sick monsters who did that and abducted children on a day when they burned, beheaded, raped so many people on October 7th are not thinking in a rational way. They're not thinking through the lens of values that you or I would understand. So when it comes to trying to analyze what Hamas is thinking, I would be at a loss.
There's this issue of proportionality. I think it's 3 Palestinian prisoners for every 1 hostage. How did we end up with those numbers?
We're in a very difficult situation at the moment. Hamas is holding our children, it's holding Israeli babies, and we want them to get back. Releasing violent criminals is not something that Israel ever wants to do. It is a bitter pill we have had to swallow in order to facilitate the release of those women and children. It's important to remember nearly half of the prisoners on that list who are slated for release are men. They are males over the age of 18. And all of them are in jail at the moment with on charges or convictions of violent offenses. We're talking about attempted murder in some cases, stabbing attacks, shooting attacks, offenses involving explosives. These are not random people who are taking from the streets. These are violent criminals.
And last quick question, because we're almost out of time. Operationally, how much does this ceasefire, this temporary ceasefire, set Israel back in terms of completing its mission to eradicate Hamas?
We're going to continue putting unrelenting military pressure on Hamas, but certainly having 4 days in which the IDF itself can also recharge its batteries and reorganize it, get its act in order, will also put us in a stronger position in order to continue the fight ahead. And this will continue until we get all of the hostages back. There will be no one left behind. And this war will end with the end of Hamas, as President Biden said yesterday at that press conference at Nantucket in response to the October 7th massacre. The total destruction of Hamas is a legitimate Israeli military aim, and we're thankful for the United States standing shoulder to shoulder with us as we face that very difficult task.
All right. Eylon Levy, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it. Take care.